welcome back to the 2024 version of Trusted Visions podcast. We appreciate you joining us, and Jeremy, welcome to you as well. We'll get right to it and ask you, we got last week your recap of 2023. Where do you see 2024 going, and what would be your advice to advisors moving forward?
John, you like to ask the easy questions of what advice would I give to advisors going into 2024? And I know we've recapped with Stacy and I about 2023 and what happened there and expectations for 2024. And this is a unique question for advisors and OSJs of advice I would give you. And what I would say there is a few things. Is first and foremost, don't wait. If you're having issues with your broker dealer, like Stacy talked about service issues or technology's not keeping up, the reality is it's not going to get better anytime soon. And I know there's a lot of fear about making a transition, but at least going out there and exploring what's out there from a technology standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from a stability standpoint, from a transition package standpoint, at least take a look. And it's worth having a conversation or two with these firms to really understand what they offer and determine if what they offer puts you in a better position and your clients in a better position long term, understanding that 30 to 60 days of pain, so to speak, going through a transition, is it worth that long-term stability? So that would be the first piece of advice I would suggest. The second piece would be consolidation is only going to continue. As we've seen a lot of big deals being done with broker dealers being sold last year, that's going to continue. And so if you think your firm is positioned to potentially be sold, at least explore what's out there to know that if you are sold, that you know where you would go. And to our audience, I would say, just because you have conversations with broker dealers or get offers, it doesn't mean you have to move tomorrow or this quarter or next quarter. Just at least do enough due diligence to understand what's out there so that if you do need to pivot, you're not starting from square one. So that would be my second piece of advice. My third piece of advice would be right now, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts, that transition packages are at a historical high. I mean, when I started in this industry 23 years ago, if you got 5% of your trailing 12, you were lucky. Now you're getting anywhere from 100 to 125% of your trailing 12. And that's with 90+% payouts and good pricing. And so just know, as interest rates will potentially come down, the broker dealers aren't making as much money. And so I realize it's not about the money, but at least take a look so you have something to compare it to if you do move next year, because you could potentially be leaving a lot of money on the table. The other thing I would say is, beware of retention dollars. And just like transition packages in recent months and quarters, I've never seen some of these broker dealers offering the type of retention dollars that they're offering today. And that tells me one thing is I know you would say, well, they value me and they want me to stay. The reality is, if they're not breaking even in 2-3 years, they realize that the obstacles and hurdles you're going to have to go through being part of that organization and the changes they're going to make is going to be pretty substantial. And a lot of advisors will say, oh, I'm just going to take the money and put it in the bank. The reality is, someone gives you $1 million, and I've told this to a client before, someone gives you $1 million, you're spending some of that, and you don't want to be hamstrung when things get really bad. To me, that's truly a sign of, you know what, things are going to be bad, and you got to ask yourself, am I willing to withstand all of those hurdles and obstacles to get that retention dollars? The other thing I would say is, I know a lot of advisors think, well, some firms are too large. I don't want to be part of such a large firm. Well, you also don't want to be back in the same situation you are of moving to a smaller firm where 6, 12, 18 months later, you're now being bought again by the same broker dealer you just left. And so large can be small with the right type of environment. And we can discuss that confidentially. In addition to that, small broker dealers, again, there's some small broker dealers out there that are quality and have stability that are not going to be sold. but you really have to understand the nuances of each broker dealer, the ownership structure, and whether you're going to go through that process again of being sold. And I've talked to several clients where they said, hey, I made a move and now I'm right back where I left because my firm was sold to them. And so my piece of advice on that of large being small or small not always being the right fit because of the consolidation, that's where I would strongly advise any advisor or OSJ to rely on consultants like myself and Stacy with Trusted Visions, because our services don't cost you anything, and we can really help you navigate the pros and cons of every firm. We can save you time from the perspective of you're not going out and reaching out to 50 different broker dealers to understand what their offering is. We're going to help you understand what their offering is and like I said, the pros and cons. So I hope that you found that valuable for this week for advice for advisors. And the two probably the most key points that I would make is don't wait and understand that we are here alongside you every step of the way, and rely on a consultant like Trusted Visions to help you navigate through that process. I hope you found this valuable, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
That certainly was valuable information. Advisors, if you'd like to reach out to Jeremy, you can email him at info@trustedvisions.com or give him a shout or text him at 480-430-5012. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.